Hi there. So today we will be going over the buyer representation agreement. Let me share my screen. All right. So this is a new form that came out as of June 24th, 2024. This agreement basically is the agreement between a buyer's agent like myself and a buyer such as yourself. So the new NAR settlement basically says that we are not even allowed to open a door for you unless we have some kind of agreement. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. Okay. So this is you, client. That's your information. Broker would be my broker's information, which is Keller Williams. This says that you grant us the exclusive right to work with you as your agent for buying a property. These are the definitions of acquiring means purchase, closing means the completion of the transaction to purchase. All monies are paid in El Paso. Well, you're buying a house or property in El Paso County. If you happen to be buying outside of El Paso County, of course, we'll change that. This is the beginning and the end of our agreement. My obligation is to do the best that I can in helping you buy a property, help you negotiate in the area, and comply with any other agreements in here. Your obligation is to work with me exclusively. As realtors, we don't get paid unless you purchase a property. Okay, so if you have somebody that's working with multiple agents, obviously they cannot all be compensated. Okay. And then a broker's compensation, you must understand, and this is another part of the settlement, is that what we get paid is not set. We cannot say that it's a standard fee because that would be breaking the antitrust laws. And that's what that settlement is basically about. So they added these extra things like, I cannot even open a house for you unless we have an agreement. That's also part of that. Okay. So that way recommend, suggest that any list or service. So this says that we cannot even put in our system what a seller is willing to pay. We have to reach out to each individual seller to see if what they're willing to compensate the buyer's agent, if at all. Obviously, it benefits the seller to compensate the buyer's agent because it'll attract more buyers. Otherwise, the buyer is responsible for paying their own agent. We're going to see a lot of changes with this, but I feel like in the end, it's going to be better because the most motivated and willing sellers will be willing to compensate the buyer's agent. This basically says that if the seller's agent doesn't compensate me, then you will agree to pay me the 3%. Our list of what we do as buyer's agent is very, very long. As a matter of fact, my checklist for my buyers is, let me check my list here, is actually 175 items long. Okay. So the source of compensation, there you go. If such persons refuse to pay the broker, then the broker can, if such persons refuse or fail to pay the broker the amount specified, client will pay you. So if the seller won't, then you need to. Of course, I will do everything possible to negotiate for them to pay. Earned and payable when you get into, I've earned my part when you've gotten into under contract. Now, if you breach this agreement, my compensation is still payable. Okay, at the end of either the closing or your breach of contract. If the client acquires more than one property, my broker compensation for each property is earned as you purchase or close on each one. Okay. Acquisition of brokers listing. So if I wind up helping you buy a property that's listed with Keller Williams, then my boss, my broker, acts as an intermediary. Additional compensation. If you wind up buying new construction, okay, then you would owe me 3% of the sales price. Okay. And let's see. Now, regarding bonuses or other, now, if the builder is willing to pay me a bonus, then we need to amend this so that you're very clear that I will be receiving a bonus. A lot of builders do that. They want to make sure that the buyer is motivated and willing to purchase. Now, if our agreement ends, I have 10 days to send you a list of all the properties that we looked at together. If you buy any of those properties within 60 days, then you owe me a commission. However, if you enter into an agreement with another agent, you owe me nothing. This says that you authorize broker to work with the title company to deposit earnest money and to make sure this closes, but they are not party to the contract. All monies are paid in El Paso County. Each person signing this agreement has a legal capacity to enter into the agreement. Client represents that you are not a party to another buyer representation agreement, that all the information that you're giving is true and correct. If there is a relocation company involved, we would enter that information there. I am not authorized to sign any document on your behalf. Here we talk about intermediary again. So if you buy a property listed within my company, my boss, my broker is an intermediary. He is not allowed to disclose confidential information in either direction from either the seller or from you unless you give us written permission, okay? Even after the sale of the property. And of course, they have to be fair and honest and not break any laws. If they do, this goes more into detail about that. You're free to read, we are not allowed to break the Real Estate License Act either. Treat everybody fairly and honestly, comply with the Real Estate Act. Now, if I show you a property that I have another buyer for, I have to let you know, okay? Confidential information stays confidential even after the sale of the property or the purchase of the property, unless you give me authorization in writing. Mediation. If we have a dispute, we agree to go to mediation first. It's cheaper and it's faster. If either party fails to comply with this contract or agreement, we are in default. We may either terminate or exercise any remedies at law. And then if we wind up in court, the loser may have to pay the winner's attorney's fees. Neither broker or the associates like myself are liable for any personal injury, loss, damage to property not caused by me. Client will hold us harmless from any injuries or losses, indemnify against us, against any claims or injuries or damages that client may cause to others or their property. So we have to just be very careful when we enter listings, right? Especially if there's children, because we know they like to get into things. The other things that we are adding to this contract is information about brokerage services, information concerning property insurance, general information to notice of buyers, notice to buyers and sellers. For your protection, get a home inspection, wire fraud warning, okay? If any of these other apply, then we would add those. They usually don't. So in addition to this also says that I cannot discriminate. We are not inspectors, appraisers, surveyors, engineers, environmental assessors, compliance inspectors. Of course, I always recommend you get a home inspection. If you're worried about anything outside of that, we can certainly assist in finding an expert in those areas for you. If you purchase a property, you can always have an abstract of title. It's also in the contract, or of course, title policy. You may purchase a home warranty, review it. I usually include 2 different pamphlets in these packages so you can review. You have different levels of coverage and things that are not covered, and of course, costs to those. All right, you always have that choice. If the seller won't pay for one, you can always buy one, okay? When reviewing a property, you always have to be aware that there's always a possibility there may be recording equipment. So of course, ring doorbells, right? I know I've had lots of sellers that are super nosy and they listen and watch everything. So it's always best not to speak too freely until you're away from the house and without outside of earshot from those ring cameras, right? Of course, never send confidential information if it's not on a secured platform. And then if you ever get an email from title saying that the wiring instructions have changed, do not respond. Pick up the phone and call me. That will never happen. Okay, that's how a lot of fraud happens. So if you have, please consult with an attorney before you sign this, and let me know if you have any questions. So I will talk to you soon. Bye.